Paul, a question for you on encryption. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is it, and how should businesses use it?
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I could be a bit corny and say 11. But the reality is encryption is extremely important for anybody that's using their data in a mobile way or outside their business offices. What I would say is if you leave your office every night and there's a security guard and it's 24 hours and you've got full alarm systems on all of your kit and everything stays within the business, then do you need encryption? There's less necessity for encryption, but how realistic is that today? It's not realistic. We're all accessing data when we're at home, we're accessing data on multiple devices, we're taking our laptops with us, and we're working in a different way. So the reality is encryption is extremely important, and there's 4 kind of key areas. First of all, there's the devices, the physical devices that we use. So there's the laptops, and obviously the mobile devices. Then we've got things like the memory sticks that we use, so encrypting those and making sure that anything that we're temporarily putting on there, because we know what happens, we temporarily put a file on a memory stick and then we forget about it, we chuck it in the bag, and suddenly that's an uncontrolled piece of data floating around, and then the memory stick drops out of the bag and that's it. You've got a data breach potentially. So encrypting memory sticks is really important. And then when we look at the other things, it's cloud services. So when we're putting stuff in Dropbox, there is a way of encrypting that data. We've got control mechanisms and tools that allow us to do that. So there's cloud encryption, and then bringing it right back to the data itself and where it sits within the network. There's file encryption. So they're saying this set of files which belong to finance are really important and contain customer information, and we're going to encrypt them. Wherever they go, whether it's inside the business or outside the business, those files remain encrypted. And it's kind of understanding which one is appropriate for us to use, and it might be a combination of all 4 technologies which are actually important. And of course, Steve mentioned earlier on email, which kind of falls into that category as well.
Yeah.
So understanding the right technology to use is really important, but encryption is incredibly important.
And I would flip the question round and say to somebody, how important is data privacy to you? So if you've got to plan for the worst, right? If somebody loses a memory stick, they upload something to Dropbox Insecure, they lose a device with some data on it, how much would it bother you if somebody got access to that data and could see it? Right? If the answer is not at all, then you don't need encryption. If the answer is it would be devastating, it could effectively ruin our business, then you're right up at the top end of the scale.
Absolutely. And looking at the number of data breaches, there's just been some research just published in terms of UK data breaches, been up by 183% in the last 12 months. So, and a lot of those are the large banks that are reporting themselves for data breaches, i.e. losing people's data. And a lot of it is just basic stuff. It's the laptop on the train, it's the, people taking copies of things they shouldn't be on unsecured memory sticks. It's basic stuff, but people are still not following even those basic practices today.
Okay. What will we need to look out for in the future when it comes to IT security? What do you think is going to be the cyber criminal's biggest advantage?
I think we've said this multiple times. It's Internet of Things and people. More and more you're seeing Apple Watches, Magic Bands, Microsoft Band, Fitbit, all of these people coming up with all of these concepts, and that's just from wearable technology. Look at devices in the home, devices in the workplace. We're becoming more and more connected, and I think as you see that happen, we need to become more and more aware. There will be new things coming to market that will drive huge efficiencies and huge gains, and if dealt with in the right way and dealt with the right controls and the right understanding, I think they can add a lot of value to people in their personal life and in their business life. But I think Internet of Things is something that not handled correctly for a business. If you just take the opportunity to plug everything into your network because it allows you to access it remotely, you are reliant on lots of people's underlying technology to give you some kind of security and protection. So I would proceed with caution.
And for me, I would say that businesses need to understand that security isn't one thing. Security is this holistic view of their entire infrastructure. And starting with probably the people and data at the center of that, and then working around that and looking at things like their edge protection, and Steve mentioned before things like endpoint, encryption, mobile device management, mail security, malware protection, filtering, and intrusion detection systems. and wrapping those layers and layers around the network will start to protect it better and better. And then things like when we do introduce the Internet of Things, and maybe there are genuine reasons why people need to put some security cameras in, or door entry systems which are connected to the internet, it's absolutely fine, but put them in a secure way, put them in a demilitarized zone if they need to be in a demilitarized zone. So it's just making sure that things are being done in a secure way going forward, and don't treat security as well, we've got a firewall and we've got an endpoint, we're secure. That's 2 of the 10 things that you need to think about when it comes to security. So it's getting that whole holistic view.
And I think unfortunately we're still in this position where people take security seriously after they've had an incident. And we see that in consumer, and we see that in business. And I think having a good plan and a good security policy will save you a lot of pain and a lot of potential reputation damage, and depending on industry, whether it's regulatory and fines. So good security policy. And as Paul said, it's not one thing. It's about looking at all those components as important.
Excellent. Okay, we'll end there. Thank you very much for your time. For more information about IT security, we write a lot of articles about this subject on our blog, these 2 included. So head on to tsg.com/blog, and we'll come back to you with another series of technology talk soon. Thank you.